Salute, squad. Welcome back to Fly Eye Productions. I don't know what happened after the last live. It kicked me out. But I made sure we didn't miss nothing. We're going to jump right back in there.
I don't believe we've done really any analysis on this list. Meaning,
Okay.
I don't believe, speaking for the people on this side of the room, I don't believe that we are conceding that they're intrinsic.
All
and
right, so
get
we
into
may
the
need
403.
to, starting with number 5, look at all of them.
Like, Your Honor, I thought we were going by the state's July 31st witness list. So that would not encompass all of these things on here. That witness list went through by what offenses it was set to
Oh,
prove or
this
acts.
one?
Yes. So I was relying on the witness list when filing motions in limine of what they actually intend to prove. I thought that was the whole purpose of.
Well,
Judge, I'm not sure if Ms. Abbas, we filed this November
Yeah.
the 6th of 2023, and I know she wasn't here at that time, but we, this is the argument I think that Mr. Sharp made. This is the one that he sent out with his objections. This is the filing. So this is the one that we're addressing.
okay. Well, I mean, if for instance, you're not gonna, you don't intend to use, 20 through 30 anymore, tell us that. If you still think you intend to use every one of them, tell us that.
A lot of them have already been completed, and there have
Okay.
been testimony. There's already been
All right.
testimony on a lot of them.
Okay, so can you tell me right now?
Yes.
Which that's true for?
Number 4, the 5/12/2013 aggravated assault and home.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it right in front of me, so if you just want to say number 4, that's fine.
Number 4, number 5.
And you said a ruling had already been made on 1, 2, and 3?
Yes,
Okay.
we didn't admit them, but they were. Okay, so we did not admit evidence of 1, 2, and 3. We, all that we did was address them initially. We didn't admit evidence, and we don't intend to, but those are the only 3 that were addressed initially.
And you don't intend to, so you're not intending to introduce those 3?
Right.
Okay, well then we'll cross 1 through 3 off the list. Okay, 4 has already been admitted, 5 you said's already been admitted.
Right.
Now what?
Also, as it relates to 7 is one of the overt acts listed. The reason that we included it here is that Shannon Stillwell's name was not in the indictment itself
Okay,
on that overt act. The same as to number 8. What? I said the same as to number 8.
okay, so those are listed, those acts are listed as overt acts, but Mr. Stillwell is not listed in the indictment when
Right.
you're talking about the overt acts. Okay,
Correct.
all right. What about 6?
6, actually, we so 6 is gonna be talked about. It has already been talked about
I thought so.
some, and it'll be talked about some more.
Yeah, I thought it had already been talked about some. So I mean, that's in the past, basically. 7 and 8, given that they're overt acts, adding Mr. Stillwell to them, that can still come in as intrinsic. What else?
10 has already
How about
been.
9?
9 has not been talked about.
And do you intend to still present evidence of that? I mean, you do at some point need to streamline your case.
So we can strike off number 9.
All right.
I believe. Ten and 11 have already been alluded to, and in fact, 11 has been discussed by the witness who's currently on
Okay,
the
so
stand.
those are already in.
Yes. And I think that the court at first asked me to tell the court which ones that we had
Well,
already.
you know what? Why don't we just walk through them the way we're doing now? Because you might decide on some other ones that you don't need those.
All right. So Hill Street there will be testimony given on that through Detective Dennis.
Okay. And
Oh,
his.
he already
involved in
talked about
that.
it. Ms. Hilton has
Okay,
reminded
so
me.
that's already in also. Okay.
Number 13, a witness has already talked about,
Okay.
Mr. Copeland on the stand. Number 14 has already been testified about.
Okay.
We've taken off number 15.
Okay.
Number 16 has already been testified about. Number 17 has, we've already presented evidence on.
Okay.
Number 18, we've already presented evidence on. Number 19, we intend to present evidence on.
All right. And tell me, is that like part of the gang rivalry leading up to Mr. Thomas's? I mean, I'm just looking at the date for that, or why is that intrinsic? Why is that a part of the whole story?
Already.
We've talked about it, or y'all have talked about it.
She's right. We did.
I'm not aware in
The aggravated assault at Trestle Tree on the 8th.
what case is that?
The aggravated assault at Confederate Court,
I'm aware of that, but
through Detective Dennis. I believe that when he gave, I'll have to go back and make sure, looking at our, at the flip chart that we made while he was on the stand.
Okay. But would this be part of the back and forth that y'all assert led up to?
It was part of, yes, part of the shootings that they went back after the murder of Donovan Thomas and found out about. So that when we say back and forth that led up to it, they started investigating those shootings after the murder of Donovan Thomas. And
Okay.
this was one of the ones that
And this is a shooting of whom by whom?
at Trestle Tree, which would have been if gang territory, we allege by YSL members. but
Okay, and what evidence do you have of that?
we did. Okay. So, and just so that Mr. Sharp has that, it's for 150080094. We've already put the CAD report and the 911 call in.
okay.
Okay, well, that pretty much
Well-
sounds like that's in then.
Well, I don't
Okay.
agree. I mean, what's I think obvious right now is I've been very involved in this case.
Mhm.
I don't know what this January 8th shooting is. I'm asking Miss Love. She doesn't know. So I'm trying to figure out how anyone could argue, if no one even knows what it is, how it's so intrinsic to this case.
Yeah, I don't know if she doesn't know what it is.
Well, I mean, I
period,
keep
or if
asking,
She
I'm
just
giving
doesn't
a-
know right now what it was. So who is alleged to have done this?
So
Or is this just a general, we, the gang experts, found out about this and we think this was a part of it? It's so, okay. Is there going to be more besides what's already been
no,
testified to?
No.
Okay, so it's already in. Okay.
Okay.
number, what number?
20.
20. We have already heard testimony on this one.
And that's all we're going to hear as to
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yes. And we've already heard testimony on 21
All right.
and 22.
Mhm.
We're not introducing 23.
Okay.
24, we've already heard testimony about, and we will hear more. This is actually where we got that video from that we mentioned. Mr. Sledge, that's in the folder for Mr. Sledge.
Mhm.
Number,
So, hang on. what else is gonna come? I mean, great if the video happened to be from there, but what else is gonna come in about this ag assault criminal damage?
Well, Antrevia Smith is one of the witnesses that we've listed,
Mhm.
and her testimony.
That's a victim?
Yes, that's whose
Okay.
house it was.
All right. Okay. Go ahead then. 25.
This is January the 28th. I thought we'd already introduced that. Kendrick's possession of firearm on January 28th. 15:02. Back to 25, 24.
Okay.
For next
That's fine.
26, we're not going to introduce evidence of. 27, we've already introduced evidence of. 28, we've already introduced evidence of. With the exception. So 28, Ms. Hilton is reminding me that with the exception of Shannon Stillwell's involvement in the Little Wayne bus shooting, it has come in, but it was added here because Shannon Stillwell's name was not on the paper.
All right, that's fine.
29 is coming up. The shooting at Club Crucial preceded the shooting at Adele Drive and Drew Drive, and that's duplicative of 7 and 8. So 30 through 33 are the same.
So, I'm sorry, 30 through 33.
Are the same as 7 and 8 if the court was just.
Oh, okay. So they're just listed on here twice, basically. Okay.
34 is already.
So I can just cross off 30 through 33, right? Because we've already covered them. Okay.
34 has already been testified about. 35 has already been testified about.
Okay.
36, we don't, well, actually. I asked the court to allow us to come back to 36. I believe that there are ruling may have been made on that.
Okay.
At first,
Right.
I want to check. 37's already been testified about. 38's already been testified about. 39, we don't intend to introduce evidence of.
Okay.
40, we do intend to introduce evidence of.
Okay. That seems pretty intrinsic.
41. We were taking off 41, Mr. Linder has been 7. Wait a minute. Oh, Judge, I
Yeah.
apologize. As far as 39 comes in, I was thinking of another incident. 39 is coming in. that is what led to the arrest by of Mr. Kendrick and Mr. Arnold with the firearms that Mr. Kendrick entered a guilty plea to that involved his plea colloquy that we spoke about earlier. But the fact that Mr. Arnold didn't want to identify Mr. Curtis or testify against him at trial is not, we're not putting that part in.
Okay, but that Arnold was assaulted by
By Mark
that you
Davis.
want to come in? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes. That is what led up to the arrest of Mr. Kendrick and Mr. Arnold. They went to retaliate. So my apologies. That's 39 and 40 coming in. 41 being taken out. 42, we don't intend to introduce evidence of 42.
Okay.
43, we do intend. 43 is coming in. Well, we intend to introduce evidence of 43. That's tied to the armed robbery that he's alleged in the indictment to have committed
Okay.
on October the 11th. 44 comes in because that, we believe, is the motive for the murder. That is the last murder on our indictment.
Okay.
45 similarly is tied to the Chamel Drinks murder. So we would argue and would ask that that be allowed to come in. 46 as well is tied to the murder of Chamel Drinks. As a matter of fact, 47 and 48 and 49 are all tied to that murder. So the ones that we've listed as intrinsic that the court has heard us talk about, for the most part, 90% of them, I think, are part and parcel of acts that have been alleged in the indictment that just didn't include certain aspects that are now listed on this supplement.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot. Well, what about 50 and 51? Those are the
two
ones that we just talked about. Okay. All right. So other than those two, I mean, honestly, most of it already has come in, or is like, I don't think even arguably not intrinsic to the rest of the crimes and overt acts. So I think the rest of these, not 50 and 51, but the rest of them, unless y'all got some kind of a 403 argument to make, those seem appropriately in. Okay, so sounds like that settles that, other than those two subsequent acts. All right, with regard to the I think I already asked y'all to do this, but the Bruton portions of Mr. Kendrick's statement, y'all are gonna try to get together on that, or have y'all already done that?
I thought it was agreed that because I listed out what I believe are redacted portions, and I gave the timestamp on the actual interrogation, then the state can say, we disagree or we agree, we could get together.
Okay, but that hadn't been done yet. Y'all still need to do that?
Right.
Okay, well, that's something I think we might get to tomorrow.
As well as we were just served by Mr. Williams, a bucket of exhibits. I think he wants to introduce with somebody at some time
Okay,
through a Dropbox link. So we could probably discuss those this week as well.
okay.
You can, but it'll take about 8 seconds. There's not much to discuss. I added a video and I specifically wrote what it is, and then I
Okay.
added it to the Dropbox so everybody has the world that Mr. Williams may introduce at trial.
Okay,
Exhibits. So it's just one video.
all right. So do you believe the state will be able to examine whatever portions of Mr. Kendrick's statements they think might need to be redacted and let us know?
Yes, I looked
Okay.
at some of the, I don't agree with them, but I can look at them and have some agreements if they're already by tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. So tomorrow we'll still need to do that. We'll need to do the PowerPoint,
You served that one.
right? So I'd like to maybe take that up tomorrow or sometime this week. I want us to be ready on as much as possible though, so that if we finish one topic, we can move on to the next one. And then we've still got I mean, I guess after those two, we just keep moving through the evidence that are in the first 60 witnesses and, figure out any kind of rulings that can be made ahead of time as to those. And that would include Mr. Sprinkles. Okay. And have y'all done the next 30 yet?
They have everything until 60, but we'll work on the 61
Through 90?
through 90.
Okay.
Your Honor, just
Mhm.
calling this to your attention. Ms. Hilton is correct. She identified specific co-conspirator statements or things that they allege are co-conspirator
Right.
statements. In reality, we have a lot of different voices here.
Mhm.
I have reviewed all of the wiretap calls
Yep.
that are relevant, at least.
Okay.
But in my opinion, there's going to be no way to litigate those matters other than just going through them. I hate to say that, but we're not going to agree that any of them are in furtherance of a conspiracy, and we're not going to agree that a number of them, we don't even know who Mr. Garlington is talking to.
Okay.
So that is something that I would humbly suggest should be on the agenda, because we're going to have to work through that.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I agree. This is the wiretap. We got to get through all of it. So what witness is that going to come in through?
Your Honor, that's going to come a little later in trial, but through investigator Viverito. So this will be probably towards the end when we're talking about the Chamel Drinks murder.
Viverito?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, if we get through, I mean, it's a big chunk of stuff we have to do outside of the presence of the jury. So it may not be what is first on tap, but we're going to try to utilize our time. So that's something we need to turn to as well.
And to give just a quarter reference, it would be after witness 91. And this is when investigator Viverito comes up, probably her third or fourth time. So-
Have y'all given thought to streamlining your witness list and your evidence?
So Judge, just so the court is aware, early on, I don't know how familiar the court is with the number of witnesses that we initially started out with, but we started out with over 700. And before, I believe Mr. Weinstein filed his first motion to limit the state's case with the former trial judge, the state announced to defense that not only would we actually be asking for an earlier start time and a later finish time, but we actually told them that we had reduced our list from the over 700 to just over 200. And we've reduced it further. And then after that was when I believe Mr. Kendrick filed a motion to force the state to reduce its list, but we had already said and done that. So now we've reduced it even further. And I believe that we are at that point where we've reduced it. The delay that Mr. Kendrick referenced in his motion has not been attributable to the state. We have had a number of administrative days. We have had a number of delays that were caused for other reasons that had nothing to do with anything that the state's case entailed. So our case and the length of our witnesses is not prolonging this trial at all. And our position is that we have streamlined it considerably. We continue to streamline it even after our first streamlining that we apprised them of.
All right. Well, all I'm saying is, please try to do what you just said you are doing, which is continue to streamline, and I don't have the entirety of who's saying what to what, but you do have the thing that says what counts each witness is going to go to. Just make sure that you're not being cumulative in that the witnesses you're calling are basically worth calling, that they're going to add something material to the jury's ability to decide this case.
And Your Honor, we have indeed been doing that. I think that the main cumulative objection has come from, as I remember, they've argued, well, they've called a gang expert, 3 gang experts, and that's cumulative, but each gang expert has talked about a different set of information that they have knowledge of. And they also had factual information that they were both fact witnesses and expert witnesses.
But you're expecting 2 more gang experts?
In terms of new ones? There were 2 left on the list that we haven't yet gotten to.
Right. So
one of them we may not call.
Okay, well, you would need to be able to express what it is that expert or those 2 experts is going to offer that hasn't already been covered by the 3 that have already testified.
We would.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I
Yes.
would like the opportunity at some point this week, I expect the state to respond to the motion that we filed, but I would like the opportunity to actually argue that in front of you.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I need a response from the state. I also don't need argument from you. I mean, I understand what you're asserting in your motion.
I mean, just today, Your Honor, they say that gang experts, for example, because that is one that we have gone to, that they have not been repetitive. But just today, and I wrote this down because it's just emblematic. Just today, Ms. Love said, quote, our gang experts have testified to B replacing C. So there's a situation there where their gang experts have testified to the same thing multiple times. There's B replacing C. It's constant, Your Honor. And there's absolutely no reason that they should get to run this courtroom. Now, I'm not asking to run it. I'm asking you to run it.
I'm running it.
Okay? And you have the ability to put a time clock on the state. We're way past the time. I'm just going to finish real quick. We're way past the amount of time that we have told the jurors that they will be here. And that is a factor that you can consider. We told the jurors, now I remember 6 months. Other people have said we told the jurors 6 to 9 months. We're going to far exceed that. There's any number of reasons, and they're outlined in the motion. If you don't want me to argue it, I won't argue it. that we can put a limit on the stay, or you can put a limit on the stay.
Okay, I understand what is set forth in your motion. I understand the law. I understand what my powers are as the judge presiding over this case. I understand that cumulative evidence is unnecessary and maybe undue delay and a waste of time. I also understand
argument.
that the state has a right
Sounds like
to
we looking at a
present its
recusal.
case and that they don't have to be limited to just one witness per, count in the indictment. They have rights to. So I appreciate what you put forth there. I agree with it. I mean, it is granted. Okay. I will not permit there to be excessive, repetitive witness after witness saying the same thing, exhibit after
Run your
exhibit
courtroom
showing
then.
the same thing.
Well, the relief I requested was to put a specific time, whether it be days or hours or however you want to do
Okay.
it. So if that's granted, I am thrilled.
Well, I'm not sure that I know at this stage, given that we have only not yet gotten through one incredibly long and somewhat painful witness testimony, what that time limit might be. I don't anticipate most of the other witnesses to be as long on the stand as this particular witness has been.
See, this is time
And
consuming
maybe I
her.
can get, maybe let's just ask the state right now, like time-wise, do y'all expect any of your other witnesses to take as long as Mr. Copeland has thus far taken?
No, we didn't expect
Okay.
him to take them.
But Your
All right.
Honor, this is not the only witness that has
I
taken this
cannot do
long.
anything about what happened before I was the judge.
I appreciate
I
that.
just
And
can't.
I'm not asking you to. All I'm saying is that the state's saying that they don't expect other witnesses to take this long. There have been repeated witnesses that have taken weeks.
Okay, well,
And I mean,
let me drill down a little bit more, okay? So are there any other witnesses that are gonna have video interviews that are anywhere as near as this witness?
No, and
Okay.
for any witnesses that have taken more than a few days, there have been breaks, there have been pauses that have caused us to have to take that witness over a period of time longer than we ever anticipated.
And I hope we don't continue to have sound issues, but nobody can do anything about that, although I'm trying to at least get us a reasonable backup, which should have already been in place anyway, but.
Even with the breaking
so I'm
pauses,
gonna need
sound
an
issues,
answer as to
the state's
why,
still not ready for this case.
there needs to be any other gang expert at all in some amount of detail. And y'all have the witness list, just like, you have the state's witness list. So if there's somebody else like the two extra gang experts that you all looking at the list and knowing the case backwards and forwards think, the person who's going to say this, somebody else already testified to all of these same things, then you'll bring it to my attention and we can go through and get answers as to whether those people or those witnesses or those exhibits are cumulative. But I can't know at this point in time. I haven't been in this case long enough yet to see what's reasonable for, a witness to take.
okay.
Okay.
So I'll be back in a few weeks asking again, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So I think there aren't any other short things. I'm happy to stay here another hour if y'all'd like to. Nobody else wants to. This wasn't even a full day, y'all.
Can I inquire?
Yes.
The item that's I think the computer with the headphones on it, is that going to be in front of the jury? So that
No, that's a ridiculous place for it to be right now. If we end up having to use it at all, and I appreciate the state, bringing it as a potential fail-safe. I think we're going to try while you're doing your oral argument tomorrow morning, somebody is going to come in here and see whether they can even have this be the backup. But it would, as I understand it, we wouldn't be using the video. We would just be using it for its audio output. So And it would be up against the
Up
wall.
against the wall,
Yeah.
right. That's where we had it
Like, we don't
initially.
even need the video part, right?
Not necessarily, but it would be showing the Zoom. It would just all be the same
Right.
thing that's
But
on every
the
other
jury doesn't
screen.
need to watch that screen. They can watch the screen they already have available. So
Right.
we can slide that entirely up against this back wall
That is where we
where it's
had it.
out of the way and not, blocking anybody's view.
That's
But-
exactly the way.
But we would potentially use it for sound if our sound system continues to go on the fritz. IT tells me they think they have come up with a solution. I don't know whether they have or not. I also don't know how long it's going to take them to implement said solution. So I have asked them to have something else ready. This may be part of it, but yeah, okay. I'm reading an email that just got sent to me by the head of IT about it. Anyway, we'll try to get all of that addressed. Okay, so we will convene Sergeant Ingram on the scheduling. I had said 12. Is that doable, or is 12:30 just a better? Okay. So let's all plan to convene at 12:30 tomorrow. So when y'all show up at 12:30, it'll actually be the right time. And we'll see you then. Be ready to work on and have objections and responses ready for what we've just talked about. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. All right, so we're adjourned for the day.
Well, I apologize, squad, but that's like 4 or 5 hours that we not gonna be able to get back. They went on, and I don't seem like we got any closer than what we were before. It's one thing to prove that these boys are a gang, but you got to prove that they committed crimes in furtherance of this gang. That's what's gonna lock them into the RICO. Not that guys within the gang committed crimes while they was in the gang. Them individual cases. And, just be playing devil's advocate. What do y'all have on Jeffery Williams, aka Young Thug? I mean, you got Trontavia Stevens, who sat up in there and pointed the guys out and said he committed crimes in furtherance of the gang. But who can back his story up? But we all know it only takes one. And if it only take one, why were we trying to come into this courtroom with 700 witnesses that you broke down to 200 and something? Man, this is crazy. This is crazy. We should be making a ruling in this case at this point, I believe. If not already. And it don't seem like they even trying to bring this to an end. It's almost as if, they got their media pages going, their YouTube pages going or whatnot. and they algorithm going up. Meanwhile, there's still people sitting on this docket that haven't seen the judge yet. Cases steady being pushed back due to this trial here. Getting back to Young Thug though, again, y'all still haven't proved that he committed any crime. Yeah, I proved this YSL. They like to wear red. They substitute the C's for the B's. What crime have they committed though? They're a gang. Okay, we understand that. And to their defense, YSL is not a gang, it's a record label. We can all look at that as promotion as well. Then we got Miss Love in there that she just beating a dead horse. She constantly arguing the same thing over and over again. And want to bring up the social media. That's weak evidence to me. Unless somebody uploaded they self committing a crime, that's weak evidence. We've been watching that for years. Man, they got props in these videos and everything. You can't necessarily say cause he got something rolled up to his lips fired up that's a marijuana. You can't say that. That could be tobacco. These boys wear fake jewelry. Man, nevertheless, man, it is Mr. Follow Up over here at Fly High Productions. Man, and we gonna go on and ride this out because we started it. And I don't want to let the squad off like that because I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all out there want to know the outcome of this. I'm kind of invested myself at this point. It's just sad that we wasted all this time to be here and to still have nothing as far as evidence, as far as being any closer to the end. Closure. Get some justice here. Because it was some real victims in this case here. We just, at this point, we can't say that the accused committed those crimes. Because the state is, they've been half-stepping when it comes to presenting the evidence.
And so that was found on Mr. Tellis's phone.
Did y'all notice that
How about images?
The judge got kind of upset there at the end? She said, let me go on and we're going to go on and call it. Let me scale back a little bit. Because she was matching the attorney's energy. But he ready to go in. He ready to, he ready to call for a recusal. These boys been hitting on that for the last couple of weeks without saying it. And you know that's like going to your boss and threatening them about another job. So you know, it seems like they kind of biting their tongue, but they hinting around, "Hey, Judge, why don't you go on and recuse yourself?" Because at this point, to us, you starting to come off like Judge Glanville, like you leaning towards the state, like you working with them. Nevertheless, man, I'm just gonna say this, man. Like I say, man, my heart go out to the jurors, man, because they have to sit through all this with just a measly $25 a day. We don't know how many of them had families to feed, how many of them had mortgages, how many of them at this point then lost their jobs due to this case. Well, that's kind of foul to make a person come down there and sit through all this, and meanwhile they livelihood is up at risk. I'm not getting it though, man. Other than the fact that, I feel like Miss Fannie Pack Willis down there, she trying to let her balls hang. Cause y'all know she the one that came down on these boys. Say she gonna come down on every gang in ATL, which sounds good. But let's not just be locking people up to be locking people up, Because they may not be committing crime. So at that point, you just wasting tax dollars. Like with this case right here, because that's all I see. It's tax dollars being wasted. And this judge came in, and I thought she was about to shake up the courtroom. Came down and laid down the law. Man, but looking throughout the courtroom today, I see it's some people in there feel the same way that I do about her. She all bark and no bite. She told them no eating. She don't want no eating in her courtroom. Oh, I seen Thug back on his snacks. Court reporter. She over there popping no-dos or something. I don't know. Peppermint or something she had going on. But she told them she don't even want them to put a cough drop in their lung. Wow. She kind of rude. Told the attorneys the other day they should don't worry about their lunch. They should be packing crackers. What? Ain't packing no crackers, Yana. Need some meat to go with that. Yeah, man. I'm gonna end this live first. Go get to working on this new little project I got going on down in Harris County. like we about to pull the cover back on them. You know, they for over a decade now, they've been having lawsuits come down on them about the same thing. Inmates walking in and coming out on a stretcher. Well, you know, old Crump is on the case. Ben Crump, the attorney, civil rights activist. Yeah, he because there's been another incident here recently. Had a couple of inmates beaten. I know of one that's at least fighting for his life right now. And then allegedly, you know, one came to his demise due to the hands of the authorities over there. Man, I'm gonna say this too before I get out of here. And this off the record. This just for my sports fanatics. What's going on in the NFL? Man, I feel like them boys gonna be wearing bobby socks and mini skirts in a minute. What's up with that new kickoff rule? You know, the game ain't changed, nothing but the players. And if you know anything about the history of the NFL, they came in wearing the bare minimum. Same style of football. Rock'em, sock'em, robot. But now you got them guys over there, you know, we went through the era of them boys getting concussions. Seen the boys break a couple of limbs out there. Like, where they getting the milk from these days? Or is these boys not drinking milk? Anyway, man, at this point, I'm gonna say like I always do. Appreciate you rocking it over here with me at Fly High Productions. It is I, Mr. Follow Up. I'm gonna get on out of here at this point. Squad up.